Right, people, we reconvene our hearing schedule for the long-term plan 2024-34. And first up tonight is Colleen Douglas. Hi Colleen, if you just sit up there, if you need to use the microphone, just use the microphone. Oh, no. Colleen, you get 7 minutes to talk to us, we get 3 minutes to ask questions of you.
Yep.
And it's being live streamed, Colleen.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, just go for it.
Kia ora tātou. So I'm here as a co-owner of the Queen Elizabeth Park boats, but also as a parent and grandparent of children who have had the most amazing time at Queen Elizabeth Park boats in their lifetime. Particularly I want to talk about the Lake of Remembrance, because I feel it's got very strong cultural, social and recreational connection to this community. It was established in 1906 on stony ground. It got a clay lining because they had a big flood, and that made it watertight. Initially it was used for bathing and diving and water activities and aquatic carnivals, which were pretty spectacular. It was renamed after World War II as the Lake of Remembrance as part of the district's war memorial when they planted the groves of oak trees down the drive as well. It was named the Lake of Remembrance. So with the plan to make it into a wetland, it seemed to me that the wetlands of remembrance didn't have quite the same ring to it, or honour the history or the significance of the lake. In the 1950s it was used for motorboats and water skiers, but eventually they were prohibited because of the damage to the water's edge. The pedal boats have been there since 1980, and we've been involved for about the last 10 years. Our founding fathers saw Queen Elizabeth Park as a place of recreation and beauty, and we have benefited from their foresight as they planted trees like an English park, with trees and a fernery and aviary and cricket ground. People call it the jewel in the crown of Masterton, and it's a really popular place for people to walk around, sit beside the children to watch the eels, feed the ducks. And the recent landscaping has made such a difference to the park, and it's really attractive now as a picnic area and a leisure space. We have some New Zealand-made retro boats on the lake, and a swan boat and some kayaks and rowboats. Only one other place in the North Island has pedal boats, and that's Lake Taupo, and it's not quite the same because they just pedal around in a big lake rather than the nice route that the Queen Elizabeth Park lake offers. We've had lots of people who've approached us about buying the boats and taking them out of town. We've had people from Auckland, from Napier, from Palmerston, from Hamilton, from Wanganui, wanting to buy the boats to take them out of town, and we've always said no, because we think it's actually part of this town and part of what is offered as a leisure activity. Because where else can a family, for $25, come out for the day, have a ride on the train, get an ice block, go on the boats, feed the deer, feed the ducks, go to the playground, and it's an affordable day out for a family of 4. So I think, we have lots of people who bring their children and grandchildren. That just is a trip down memory lane. Oh, this is what I did when I was a kid, and it's wonderful to have them here. The economics, the pedal boats are a reason that people come to Masterton. We've had a conservative estimate would be about 10,000 a year would ride on the lake in a boat. And we also contribute to community days and schools and community groups like the Children's Cancer Group come and use our boats. People stay at Morley Park so they can be close to the park. So it's a bit of a group effort actually with the park, with Morley Park, the swimming pool, the museums, the oratory and the park. One of the key issues is the council prepared to pursue resource content or pursue a way of having water into the Lake of Remembrance? Currently the lake needs the sludge cleaned out. There's about 3,000 metres of sludge in the lake. It's about 40 years worth. It could be done half at a time so that the wildlife was preserved, the eels and the birds. But It needs to be dug out and clay lined. There's a leak in one part of the lake where the water just seems to disappear out of it. You can line it with a clay called bentonite, which is mined at Porongahau. The application for it is 200 tonnes a hectare, and I thought the lake was about 5 hectares, I might be wrong, 10 acres maybe. And the cost is about $175 a tonne, so that's about $175,000 for clay. I think if you invested in that, you'd be safe for at least 20 years, maybe it's been 50 years since it's been done, but cleaned out, so it would last a long time. It would then give a deeper and non-permeable lake structure that would hold the water longer, hold more water, hold it for longer, and require less water to top it up. So I think, to make the Lake of Remembrance into a wetland, I think you would be destroying a 120-year-old icon of the town. Any questions?
Oh, thank you very much, Colleen. Questions? Colleen? Yes, Councillor Goodwin.
Just wonder if you could expand on that, the condition as it is. What's the downside of that? I presume it's too shallow. It certainly looks, when I look at it, I can see the eels and the bottom looks okay, but could you just expand on that?
The sludge is about 1 metre deep. If you go and try and walk in there, you get sucked right in. So it's like duck poo, or 50 years of duck poo, basically. People's wallets and car keys as well, and cell phones. But there's a whole layer at the bottom of the lake that is mud, basically. Mud. Yeah. And so it makes...
What does that mean?
Well, that means that the lake level is not as deep. And so that's another metre up for the water to go to the top. So it means that you have to keep filling the water up because it's a lot shallower. It gives another metre depth. It takes away a metre of depth to the lake.
Okay, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, hi Colleen, thank you. Your commentary about removing the sludge from the lake, is that because Friends of the Park have also looked at that?
Yeah.
Is that similar to what they want to do, their process? Like, are you reinforcing what they are proposing?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you very much, Colleen.
Peter?
We'll deliberate at the end of June and we'll come up with results then. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Right, Rob Steele. G'day, Rob. Rang an early retreat. Rob, you've heard the story, 7 minutes, 3 minutes for questions. Being live streamed, so over to you.
Thank you very much. Tēnā koutou katoa. Your Worship, the Mayor, Councillors, fellow ratepayers. My name is Rob Steele, as you already know. I'm a proud New Zealander and I claim Ngāti Porou ancestry. After working overseas for about 7 years, my wife Susie and I moved to the Wairarapa 9 years ago. And 2 years ago we opened a boutique luxury lodge in Opaki on our life sentence block, thanks to the support of Destination Wairarapa. The support has been crucial for our business, aligning DW's strategy to promote the region as a great place to visit and to stay. We appreciate Council's support for DW so far, but we are concerned about the proposal and the long-term plan to consider DW's funding annually. This change would severely impact DW's viability. The issue, as I see it at least, isn't contestable funding itself, but the requirement for DW to apply for funds annually. DW needs at least 3-year funding framework to build and maintain essential relationships locally, regionally, nationally and internationally. Without long-term funding assistance and assurance, DW cannot guarantee long-term employment for staff, it cannot build vital contacts or make financial commitments like leases for premises and equipment. Consider this, consider what you're actually doing right now. This council is developing a long-term plan because future planning cannot be done effectively in a disjointed 12-month segment. Similarly, DW requires long-term funding to attract future visitors and to build relationships with key organisations. Without sustained funding, Wairarapa risks being overlooked as a destination. The importance to tourism to Masterton, I would argue, is really significant. It does contribute hugely to the region's economy, and there's huge opportunities to take it further. As highlighted by Rosie and Jenna earlier today, the macroeconomic impact is substantial, and I want to strongly support their submission to you. But I also want to personalise this with an example, our own experience. I'd like to make the following points. Our guests enjoy various local attractions such as boutique lanyards, the Ati Whakatua track, Pukaha, Castle Point and fish and chips. The screening room, Aratoi, the Woolshed, Headley's bookstore, and it goes on, even Queen Elizabeth Park. They spend money supporting these activities. We estimate that our guests have spent at least $150,000 in the Masterton district in the last 18 months. Rosa referred to this as foreign currency, and I agree with that. This is new money and it benefits the entire community. We also spend money. We spend the money we earn by buying food, wine, supplies, fuel, you name it. And we also help in the garden on a regular basis. Our guests are helping employ people in the region. And we are attracting more guests with DW's help from Europe, North America, Australia, even the Manawatu, Hawke's Bay and Wellington. Our growing business allows us to contribute more than just economically though. We supported the Pukaha Garden Festival, and we donate $5 to Pukaha for every guest. We hosted 8 overseas travel agents just 2 weeks ago to promote the Wairarapa. We contributed to the funding for the new ambulance station, and we hosted fundraising events for Aratoi, and we mentored 2 small businesses in the region. Without starting our business and the support of DW, none of this would have been possible. So why is DW important? DW are the glue that holds the region's tourism together to promote and attract local, national and international visitors in the intermediate, medium and long term. And those people would otherwise bypass this region. For example, their efforts to ensure the region is featured in lifestyle magazines, such as New Zealand Life and Leisure. And I won't hand this around because you don't have time, but we actually feature in the March-April edition of that. And it's not just promoting us, it's promoting the region. And it had a huge, raise awareness impact of that. So I get it. Councils face financial pressures, but cutting long-term support for DW would be a mistake. Visitors bring economic, environmental, cultural and social benefits. And so I think there are 3 key areas where I would argue council leadership in supporting tourism and DW is vital. The first is that tourism in the Wairarapa is not just a leisure activity. It's a vital component of the local economy and cultural preservation. Increased visitors encourage an influx of capital to bolster businesses, create jobs and stimulate growth across various sectors, from hospitality, yes, but also retail. By supporting tourism, the council can foster economic resilience and prosperity within the community so that all taxpayers benefit. The second point, tourism plays a pivotal role in preserving Wairarapa's cultural heritage. Māori culture is deeply rooted in the region with significant historical sites and traditions, and there is a huge opportunity which we are not really taking advantage of for cultural exchange and the preservation of heritage sites to ensure future generations can appreciate and learn from Wairarapa's rich past. And the third, I think, is a societal benefit. Tourism showcases our heritage and culture, supports the arts, and helps people in the Wairarapa build a sense of pride in what we have. Our touring of Waiwai is precious, and we should be proud and protective of it. We should also share it with current and future generations. So I would argue that supporting tourism in DW is essential for Masterton's future. Council must recognise tourism as a priority and allocate resources accordingly to ensure a sustainable and prosperous future. I understand at least one of the other councils in the Wairarapa looks to this council for leadership in continuing the 3-year funding model. And it stands to gain so much from DW's continued existence. It should not be the end of this organisation. Please continue to fund DW in the medium long term. This investment will yield positive returns, not just economically, but environmentally and sustainably and societally, and to enhance our pride in our part of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Thank you for this opportunity to address you. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Thank you very much, Rob. Any questions for Rob? Councillor Helena?
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Yeah, my question, and I hope it fits with, hope it keeps in the lane, but one of the questions I have is trying to identify the explicit impact of DW on the Wairarapa, and I'm just wondering, in terms of your tourism business, could you share exactly, specifically, how they helped you?
Sure. As I said in my submission, we wouldn't have started the business without them. They have brought business to us. They have helped us with a marketing plan. They have helped us achieve Hallmark Gold certification. They have brought the visitors I referred to earlier, the inbound tour operators that were referred to also in the earlier submission this morning. And I spoke to a lady from France who was so enthusiastic, having not been to the Wairarapa before, that she is going back to France, setting up a package where visitors will fly into Wellington, they will go up the west coast, they will go into the Hawke's Bay, and they will come back through the Wairarapa. That business will not be there without DW's getting those people across here and doing them. I don't have that horsepower, and I don't have those resources. DW does. And we can help them. That same idea I passed on to other inbound tourism operators who've stayed with us, who've also stayed with us from the Netherlands. They think it's a great idea. We're actually going to talk together and see if they can kind of leverage off that as well. So the submission this morning was, DW you don't hear about, and you don't. They're kind of looking further ahead of things, but they are hugely helpful in business startups in the region. They're hugely helpful in the dark sky reserve that we have. Masterton, I don't understand why we're not part of it, and we're now taking steps to do that. But the opportunity is huge. And if I sound passionate, it's because I am. I've been offshore now twice. I lived for 7 years in Canada. I've lived 7 years in Europe. In Geneva, you cannot see the stars. Here, we take it for granted. And the opportunity to get more people across here, to show them the wonderful thing we've got here is just phenomenal. Long answer, sorry.
Councillor Lennox?
Thank you, Rob. Just a query around the town hall, because I see you have noted that you would prefer alternative option 2, which is to demo the town hall and just retain what we currently have. Would a new town hall not be seen as a positive for the tourism industry in Masterton?
To be honest, I struggle with that. Mainly because I think that there's some wonderful facilities in the Wairarapa that we could probably use. And if we're arguing about where funding goes, and you are, and you have to, I really question why having a large physical edifice in Masterton is actually going to add a whole lot to tourism. I think there are other ways of attracting people to this region, and I think we should focus on that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Well, Rob, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as I say, we deliberate next month and we'll get back to you.
Cool.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, Gary Daniel. Hi, Gary. I won't need to tell you the way this works. 7 minutes, 3 minutes questions.
I won't take that long.
Over to you, mate.
Right. Worship, councillors, I'm here to advocate for a new purpose-built archive. I'm chairman of the Archival Society, and we really believe that it is something that should be included in your long-term, in your short-term plan. I think it's useful to know something of the background to the Wairarapa archives. Just before New Zealand's sesquicentennial in 1990, Archives New Zealand trialled their lost records search in the Wairarapa from the Masterton Library with extensive advertising to determine what historical information still existed in the community. The result was staggering. Documents and photographs flooded into the library from Palliser to Pongaroa. The local Historic Places Trust held a meeting with the objective of housing these treasures and secured premises from Masterton Trustlands Trust to do so with the establishment of the Wairarapa Archival Society. The local Historic Places Trust committee was made up of appointed representatives from each of the Wairarapa districts: Featherston, Martinborough, Greytown, Carterton, Masterton, Eketahuna and Pahiatua, the original Wairarapa. Bob Francis arranged for more suitable premises to house the growing collection and for the library to staff the archives on behalf of each of the Wairarapa districts. In the following 35 years, the Wairarapa Archives, in its previous central location, led the way for provincial archives with the preservation and depth of its contents and the success in enabling the collection to be accessed by line, publication and visitation. Later, the Trustlands Trust bought and gifted an area to the north of the library as their sesquicentennial gift to this council, specifically for a new archive. The Archives Society submission points out the fragile nature of the current archival storage and strongly advocates for the library to be restored in conjunction with the new archive on behalf of the whole Wairarapa district. I urge councillors to embrace this option, which has a minimal cost to our community and a lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. Like questions for Gary? Councillor Goodwin.
I just wonder if you can tell us, with the intention to do the full library archive option in there, would the archive still have they used to do on the other side of the road, just window exhibitions and tell stories about the town? I mean, no one really does that in Masterton, and they used to change it every few months when they were across the road from the library. And it's just lovely to have those little history stories told for people walking past. Would the intention be to retain that sort of storyboard, call it what you want?
I think it's all part of the outreach of the archives. It's their duty to not only gather in the information that is about the district, but to make it accessible, and this surely is one of the ways that access is enabled.
Councillor Frost.
Yeah, hi Gary, thanks for that. I note with interest that you talk about the archives being regional and that there's Tonga from South Wairarapa, right throughout the area. One of the things we often face that if something's Masterton based, we don't sometimes get investment or support from the rest of the region, and that can conversely happen the other way as well. But do you think there's a commitment from all of the Wairarapa for the establishment of Wairarapa-based archives?
The reality of things are that Masterton has to fund a lot of these things, and I guess it's something which the council has grappled with for a long, long time. But I think the importance of the archive to the entire Wairarapa justifies a greater input from Masterton to make sure these things are there. one of the things about the Archive Society is that we demounted and have in storage all the shelving which was in the previous location. This is valued at around about $100,000 and was enabled by the Archive Society because the council cannot approach some of the other organisations for equipment. So there are other ways of really assisting what is a reality in terms of the contribution.
Any further questions for Gary? No further questions. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you.
We'll deliberate next month and we'll put tonight.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, Lynn Riley. Hi, Lynn, you're another one that would know the rules here, 7 minutes, 3 minutes questions.
Thank you, Your
Let's
Worship.
go for it.
Good evening. Tonight I'm here on behalf of our members to talk about rates increase affordability. I will take our submissions as read, so I'll focus on just a few key points.
What do you use the microphone?
Not particularly. Many of you campaigned on a promise to address the critical infrastructure needs of our community, and we wish to acknowledge the significant commitment to investing in these essential services, a long overdue recognition of the core responsibilities of our council, so we thank you for that. However, as we move forward with the cost impacts of the long-term plan, we need to consider the future and full financial impact on our residents and businesses. As you are aware, we have been out on the streets engaging with our community throughout this consultation process, and we have heard the concerns loud and clear. The proposed rates increases over the next 10 years, as outlined in your plan, are simply unsustainable for many households and businesses. The rates requirement is set to rise from $42 million to $62 million during the first half of the plan. That is a 50% increase in rates over the next 5 years. These are not just numbers, but they represent the livelihoods of our ratepayers and residents and the future of our community. Every dollar spent on nice-to-haves is a dollar diverted away from the must-haves that are vital to our community's well-being. The Wairarapa economy is grappling with challenges, reflected in low consumer spending, rising interest costs for home loans, and higher rents for many households that are now becoming unaffordable. Household spending growth lags behind inflation, and yet you have set rates at 4.5% above inflation with little justification provided. Rates arrears are at an all-time high, with more than projected ratepayers falling into arrears. Some of them are now selling their homes in a depressed market as they struggle to pay their debts. We believe the repercussions of these increases will be profound for our community if all preferred options in the long-term plan are adopted. Job losses in the public service are expected to reverberate throughout our community, with many Wellington commuters seeking employment closer to home. Disposable incomes are dwindling, and the growth we see is at the wrong end. Just ask any business owner in the CBD or a checkout operator how little people are currently spending. We don't believe you can justify imposing heavier debt burdens on those who are already struggling to make ends meet. Statistics paint a clear picture. The average median income in Masterton is $59,000, while single pensioners survive on a mere $24,000 and married couples live on $41,000. These figures stand in stark contrast to the average council salary exceeding $100,000. It's understandable why there's a prevailing sentiment in Masterton that the council is out of touch with the everyday hardship faced by our residents. We can't ignore the impact of these rate increases on the many self-employed or lower income ratepayers who do not enjoy the same benefits as council staff. The cumulative effect of the proposed increases disproportionately affects those on fixed and lower incomes, undermining their quality of life and well-being. Currently, we're in the middle of a double-dip recession and a spiralling cost of living crisis. Families are struggling to put food on the table, and homelessness in Masterton is on the rise. That $6 cup of coffee on Queen Street that council say is all that it will cost for a town hall is actually a loaf of bread without butter for many families. Just ask the food bank. While we acknowledge the increased costs to the council, we implore you to recognise that ratepayers face similar pressures but must live within their means. So we ask that council too lives within its means. Our understanding is there is still an opportunity to review and reduce the budgeted spends in the long-term plan, and consequently reduce the rates increases to reduce the debt burden on our community. We respectfully ask you to go through that exercise and undertake another line-by-line review of each department's budget to find further internal savings before you adopt this plan. While many residents have been offered and accepted temporary fixes in Coburn Street and Colombo Road, they have not yet been tested under winter conditions or any severe weather events. How much further down the road are we kicking the permanent solutions? These residents need to be priority one on the essentials list, and more money needs to be diverted into this area now. To quote the Minister for Local Government, our government expects councils to work to deliver the important essential services that ratepayers expect. This means prioritising the must-haves and critical infrastructure over the nice-to-haves. We completely understand that tough decisions lie ahead as you prepare to deliberate and adopt the long-term plan in June. The Masterton Ratepayers and Residents Association urge you all to make the right decision, even if it's not the easiest decision. We ask that you deliver rate increases no higher than is absolutely necessary by continuing to focus on delivering core services and basic infrastructure well. We ask that the decisions you make are fair and beneficial for all, not just for a few. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Any questions for Lynn? No questions. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Thank you.
We deliberate at the end of the month.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Clive Carver. Hi, Clive.
Good evening.
You've got 7 minutes and we've got 3 minutes to question you.
Sounds a good proposition, Gary.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors present. Thank you for this opportunity to come and voice a personal opinion about the long-term plan. I very much like what the previous speaker said about the fact that I think people are really finding it difficult. And my wife and I are both in the category of pensioners, and we're certainly not finding it easy with all the cost increases that keep happening at everything in life. And rates is just another one. So in addressing the thoughts on the big decisions, I would like, please, for the councillors to think in prudence for future costs going to ratepayers. So, for example, the town hall and situation, my choice is the alternative option 2, because I've done some research and had a look around the district, and there are a number of venues that could provide facilities for shows, concerts, etc., and they include areas that will cover from up to 500 seating to 1,200 seating. And there's Copthorne, Rathkeel, Wairarapa College, and the stadium, which I understand from talking with Golden Shares, that holds 1,200 people, the same as the college does. So, from a perspective that we haven't had a town hall for many years, and I don't think Masterton has significantly suffered from not having that facility, I do think, though, the council should be supporting more these venues that are available for hire in promoting activities in the district, because the council would not only not have to build a town hall, but wouldn't have all the ongoing maintenance costs when the maintenance costs are shared by the other owners of the facilities that I mentioned. I would like to compliment the council on the fantastic job they've done on promoting outdoor activities that have been very successful in the district, and as I say, I think that's fantastic. And we do need things coming into the district for the growth of our businesses as well. So I would really like to see some staff associated with council focused on trying to get use of these venues with promoters of various events and so on. With regards to the preferred option of the municipal building facade, it's a hard one to pick on that because I sort of have a foot in each side, but overall I support the retaining of the facade because I think it provides an architectural design that's inherent for Masterton on that particular corner, and I think it's a place where people passing through Masterton recognise the architectural significance of that, so I do support that being there. With regards to the Masterton District Library and Wairarapa Archive, the library I feel concerned about being expanded because to me the way that our digital economy and digital lifestyle is growing and growing and growing, I feel that the days of a library being quite a focal point of a community is not so prevalent today, and I think it'll probably even get less when the next generation's coming through as well. You also have, I believe, a prefab building beside the library which could be utilised for any expansion activities, which, talking to the librarians during school holidays and that, there's often activities for children and so on, and maybe that facility could be used as an expansion for the library, but otherwise just I run with option 2 of just keeping to library repairs and maintenance. Archive, I'm not sure what happens on the archive front. I really don't have a feel for that at the moment. With regards to the town centre improvements, I do support the council's preferred option, and I think that there is responsibility on retailers to improve the look and feel of Queen Street as part of their responsibility to ensure they're going to attract customers and as I say, give a good presentation to the main street. Council funding, the preferred option for community groups and organisations would become contestable, and I support that. The area of expanding this building, I very fully support that. I also support expansion to enable the council to move into this building rather than renting a premises, which is always going to be an ongoing cost to ratepayers, because unfortunately councils don't pay tax and therefore don't get a tax deduction for office space. But I feel that this is a good location, and with the town hall being got rid of, is going to provide more parking for people to visit the council offices and so on. But I think also a lot of activity today with councils is done either over phone rather than physical coming into council. For my own sake, I probably have only come into council on a couple of occasions, and one of those was for a social visit with Gary. So, as I say, that's just my personal opinion on it. With regards to the other points that are listed, number 4, big decision 4, I fully support the council on the 1st, 4th and 5th preferred options, and with regards to regional walking and cycle facilities, I feel there should be maintained funding. It's good for health and welfare, and I certainly enjoy getting around the district both on a walking and a cycling capability. I'm still able to cycle, thank goodness. With regards to positive ageing facilities, well, I'm a bit prejudiced in that area, so I do support maintaining funding there. If I may, I'd like to ask the council a couple of questions. Is that permissible on this occasion?
No, not really. We're here only really to ask you questions, really, Clive.
Well, I think it should be fair both ways, Gary, but
No, we're not allowed to make comments on this particular. We do our commenting during the deliberations.
no, this isn't about the long-term
If
plan.
you ask them in a sort of generic way, maybe we can think about them anyway.
Okay,
You've only got about 1 minute, Clive.
thank you. The question I have was, what percentage of rates are currently spent on council staff costs? I've never seen anything ever written about that, and I think people would be curious to understand where the percentage fits. And again, talking about prudence of spending, I think that's a valid thing that people need to know about. So I'd commend the council to maybe put that information out.
36%, isn't it?
Hang on. Yeah. Thanks, Clive. You finished? Here's that book.
2 questions.
The 36% was
You
that?
don't believe what Brent says.
No, I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. But anyway,
What was the other question?
Clive, with that one particularly, if you come and see me at one of those mural drop-ins again, I'll have that answer for you.
good on you, Gary. Thank you. The other question I had was whether the current rates struck for this financial year incorporate all the preferred options of the council from this long-term plan, whether that's built into the current.
The new one it is, so
Yeah.
the preferred options would can change.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's all that I've got. Thank
very
you.
much, Clive. Have any questions for Clive? Okay, Councillor Goodman?
Sorry, no. I just thought that it's actually over the next 5 years, if you look at the preferred option 1 and
Yes,
out, is that correct?
we'll come back to you with that
We'll come back to you on that, Clive. You come back. Councillor Helena?
Thank you.
Did you
That was
want to know?
Manuel.
Was it Marilyn? Oh, sorry.
That's
And
okay.
Marilyn. Councillor Tuta?
Kia ora, Clive.
Kia ora.
Thank you for your submission.
Thank you.
I'm having trouble understanding how you can opt for option, for the alternate option. We demolish the town hall and you say keep the facade.
Correct.
How would you do that? How
Well, you
could you help
can.
me understand?
Yeah. I can give you an example where in Christchurch, the chief post office, they actually kept the facade and demolished the chief post office. And all it required was a strengthening of the facade features. And whether that's wrapping metal around or whatever, and it's a bit like what they've done in Wellington with one of the buildings down on the waterfront there where they kept the facade, but they did actually build on behind it as well. But you could strengthen and support just having the facade without the whole building behind it.
And would that cost?
Well, that's what I thought the costs in here were relating to, where I think it's 2.3 million. Is it? No, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Well, Clive, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
deliberate at the end of the month, Clive, but if you come and see me, I'll get those questions answers to you.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Robert Joblin. Is Robert Joblin here? No? Okay, Bruce is. Bruce Land. G'day, Bruce, you're used to this as well. 7 minutes, 3 minutes questions.
Thank you. Kia ora, everybody. Bruce Lang. I've put in a submission. I'd like to see if I put in to demolish the town hall. I'd like to see heritage kept in the area, but it doesn't look like there's costs available, and we are looking at very tough times. I would stipulate that I'd love to see somebody video it so it can be peer reviewed on the actual structure of it, and some learnings can come from it so that we can go, hey, was it absolutely necessary, and make sure it doesn't keep going like that. There's a lot of ifs and maybes and things like that that I don't really like. And my other beef is really the idea of curbside collection. I know it's not coming into, well, it's not mandated by government or things until this is food waste collection, you know. I see it as a much, what I would think, simpler and better idea is instead of having another truck on the road and everybody having a little bin, you have a digger at the transfer station ripping out, and you can take out a lot more scrap steel as well as the food waste and green waste and put it there. I don't know what's going to happen to Silverstream Rubbish Dump. I was working there for a little while helping build the new liner, and they were putting green waste in to get methane because they run big generators, you know. Surely we can do something more that way where we actually gain a fuel instead of using a lot of fuel in a truck to go around and having more vehicles on the road, more hazards, more, you know, inconvenience. And there's so many people that compost or aren't going to use the system, but they still have to pay for it. Okay, you know, parks and things are on the same sort of idea, but parks are nice, you know. Really, I've come ill-prepared, which is my bad, but lots of things have been happening lately.
All right, we've got a couple of minutes yet, Bruce. So.
I know, I just don't know what to say. You know, basically I've ticked a few boxes in your long-term plan, and that's my opinion. I haven't got too much more about it, apart from we do need to save some money, and it does look like maybe you could put up a couple of building projects because there's a lot of builders getting real tight at the moment. You know, the whole building industry's suffering, so if there's somewhere where you can actually do some really good, you probably get a good tender and a good contract at the moment. I don't know if you had other building projects on, but thank you very much for your time. Any questions?
Okay, any questions for Bruce? Councillor Leonard and Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, hi, Bruce.
Councillor
Oh, sorry.
Leonard, then Councillor Johnson.
Sorry.
Thank you, Bruce. Hey, I'm interested in your alternative to curbside collection. I didn't quite understand what that alternative looked like.
Basically, you'd have a little digger with a grapple on it and a blade, pulls the bags, you know, any rubbish, and just tries to get any green waste that is compostable out. While he's there, he'd take out anything that he found that was recyclable and say, well, that goes over into that bin, that goes into that bin, and does his best. And I think that for the amount of fuel you'd use, you'd actually save a whole lot more product, you know.
So everything being thrown into the same rubbish bin, collected, and then sorted at the transfer station?
Yep.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, the cost of a little digger running, you know, it wouldn't be as much as a truck running around picking it up, and the inconvenience to everybody, and the charge would be more even. He'd get more product out, you know.
Councillor Johnson.
Condolences too.
Thank you. That's why I'm a bit ill-prepared. I've been busy.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your dad.